What is going on, Padawans? My name is John Solo, and today's subject of discussion is going to silence anyone who's ever said that the exhaust port on the Death Star was a massive design flaw. You know exactly what I'm talking about. At this point, everyone and their mother knows what I'm talking about. Ever since A New Hope came out in 1977, countless jokes have been made about how stupid it is that no Imperial ever spoke up and said, hey, maybe we should cover up that 2-meter hole that could literally explode the entire space station. If I'm being honest though, I've made jokes about the matter too. On the surface, it looks like a pretty massive design flaw to overlook. I mean, the Death Star was the ultimate weapon of the Imperials. It took them 20 years to make it fully operational. They used it one time, and then it was completely destroyed by a farm boy flying an X-Wing for the first time, shooting some proton torpedoes into an exhaust port. Like I said, it seems pretty ridiculous at the surface. However, when you take the time to critically think about it, you realize just how lucky the rebels were that they destroyed the Death Star and how necessary that exhaust port was. If you don't mind, let's real quick take a look at the Death Star. Damn. Imagine how much power it's got to use to operate smoothly. That brings me to my first point. To anyone who's ever used a laptop or a desktop computer or a video game console, you know how when you keep it on for a really long time, the fans on the inside start to get really loud? Every single time I edit a video on my laptop, I make myself take breaks intermittently so the thing doesn't burst into flames. After an hour, that thing's fans start going crazy. And of course, nobody's gonna deny that a laptop or a gaming system needs some exhaust fans and some little openings for the heat to ventilate out, right? So why is everyone so up in arms about the goddamn Death Star exhaust port? Seriously. The Death Star probably lets off an absolutely massive amount of thermal exhaust, and the Imperials aren't stupid. They probably made the exhaust port as small as they could make it. And it's not like they could just cover it up like everybody else says. The amount of heat coming out of that little tube is probably tremendous. Remember, this is the only exhaust port on the entire Death Star. The fact that all of the heat that the station produces can all be ventilated out through one hole is pretty impressive. When it comes to letting out gas, even the human body needs 2 holes. That being said, the port must get pretty hot, so it's probably just safer to leave it unobstructed for the heat to escape. Some of you may make the argument that the Imperials just should have made several smaller exhaust ports and spread them all throughout the station, but then somebody would be complaining that there was too many openings leading to the reactor, so you really can't win. The Imperials did their absolute best with what they had, and it's not like they put up an illuminated sign that said, hey rebels, shoot here, watch me explode. The port was buried at the end of a miles-long trench. It was heavily guarded by gun turrets, TIE fighters, and Vader himself. And even when you take all of this into consideration, the only reason the rebels even knew about the exhaust port was because they got their hands on the Death Star plans. And it's not like those were easy to get. They had to risk and sacrifice the lives of their soldiers. And let's not forget, the Death Star was designed to take on a fleet of battle cruisers. The whole point of the trench run was that it was a Hail Mary pass by the Red and Gold team to save the rebel base and rebellion itself from being wiped out. The rebels used every spare pilot they could find to fly small, rickety ships down the trench where the big guns couldn't just blow them away. Even then, the mission was only accomplished with literal seconds to spare by losing most of the team and having one of their boys just so happen to be the greatest pilot and force user of his generation. And what may be the most solidifying piece of evidence that the rebels' victory was just a huge stroke of luck from an outsider's perspective? The proton missiles that were shot into the exhaust port literally shifted 90 degrees. No matter how much you prepare, you can't stop somebody like Luke, who's so gifted in the Force that he can literally bend the laws of physics. I'm sorry, that's just the fact of the matter. Without him, the rebels probably would have failed miserably. Now you may be thinking, John, I see your point, but what about the second Death Star and what about Starkiller Base? Let's take a look at these 2 instances real quick. Death Star 2, not even finished when the rebels attacked it. It had a huge gaping hole in it, and even that was protected by a deflector shield that was located on the surface of a forest moon and was incredibly heavily guarded. If it weren't for the small army of human-eating bears, there's no chance that the shield generator would have been taken down. And when it comes to Starkiller Base, that was kept just as secret as the first Death Star was. Nobody knew it was built until it was already wiping out planets and moons, which were, by the way, Republic controlled, so they actually put the weapon to better use than the Empire did with the Death Star. You may want to cut them some slack for not expecting a janitor to break into the base with a couple of old war veterans, blow stuff up so a starship could fly into the base and finish the job. And to add on to that, Poe Dameron, probably one of the best pilots of his generation. I guess my point is this: if you think you could build a space station that wields that much power and perfectly predict every single possible weakness that could be exploited, do it. I, for one, am just gonna wave the white flag and say no matter how funny the jokes are, the bad guys aren't as dumb as we make them out to be. And that, my friends, was today's theory. I hope you enjoyed it, despite it not really being the type of theory that you're used to. If you did enjoy the video, make sure you let me know by leaving your thoughts in the comment section down below and hitting that like button. I'm feeling like a contest may be in order, so if you guys manage to get this video to 1,000 likes by the end of the weekend, I'll upload an extra Star Wars related video next week. Remember to share this video with your fellow Star Wars nerds and hit that subscribe button for weekly Star Wars content. I've got the links to my social media accounts in the description down below. That's Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, as well as a link to the Reddit post that inspired this video. Thank you all so much for watching. In case you forgot, my name is John Solo, and I'll see you next time.